All right, in the kitchen today, being Christmas time and the holidays, we're gonna make some cookies. And since I'm the one making the cookies, I like chocolate chip better than anything, and I got a recipe that an older woman gave me probably about 20 years ago. I have no idea how old the recipe actually is. But it uses shortening instead of butter, so that should tell you something right there that's got some age on it. So when I get started, you can do it several different ways. You can get out separate bowls and measure everything out in different bowls, or you can kind of dump everything together as you go along. Just depends on your preference. I've got several bowls here to go ahead and give it a little bit more division as I go through it. So some of the things you'll need is sugar, of course, brown sugar, vegetable shortening, salt, vanilla, baking soda, all-purpose flour. Oh, and we're going to need a couple eggs too. So this is the wonderful kitchen here at Kentucky Big Cats and Bourbon. I do enjoy cooking, and when I built the house, I built the kitchen pretty much like I wanted it. May not be as an industrial restaurant as I would have liked to have had it, but time and money. That's something you can't get away from. You gotta do within your means. First off, let's get a shortening on out. That always takes the longest, of course. Just about, it seems like, other than packing brown sugar. So I guess I better grab some measuring cups and so forth here. Okay. So, your vegetable shortening, Crisco is more commonly. You can get other varieties. This is a variety called Walnut Creek. I pick it up at the Amish store that we have about an hour or so from the house. All kinds of goodies, baked goods there. They buy a lot of stuff in bulk and break it down. You get a whole lot better price in on seasonings and so forth. So that does real good. And I'm going to be mixing this. I'm going to be doubling up my ingredients because I'm going to make enough for a double batch. And make sure I'll cut that batch in half. One half I'm going to leave true to the original recipe. And the other half I'm going to add a little special ingredient in. And if you've been paying attention to the title of this show, it ain't catfish. Okay, so first thing off we need to do here, let's go ahead and get 2 cups of shortening dug out. But when you're baking, keeping to your measurements can make a whole lot of difference between success and failure. And you can go just a little bit over on this because you're going to have some air pockets down in there anyway. You're never going to get all of it totally even when it comes to this. Okay, so I got the shortening we need. Next thing we're going to go ahead and do is pull our sugars. So first off, let's go with our common white sugar. Because brown sugar is always fun unless it's a brand new bag you just opened. So, original calls for a cup of sugar, so we're going to need 2 cups of sugar. And I really don't use a whole lot of sugar around here until it comes time for the holidays. So we'll get us 2 cups of regular sugar measured out here. Let's see how close we are there. Well, just about right with it. I have been cooking for a while. Put a little extra sweetness in it, won't hurt nothing. Yeah, I am saying be exact, huh? Well, some things are more exact than others when it comes to cooking. Okay, so we've doubled up our sugar. We got 2 cups of sugar in there. We got 2 cups of shortening. I'm gonna put this back over here in line with the rest of the stuff. We'll use that again. Okay, brown sugar calls for 1/2 cup normally. Since we're doubling, we're gonna go up to 1/4 cup on it. Yeah, that ain't coming out of that jar, but in that form. So. Break that up a little bit. It ain't gonna hurt a thing if it's brown sugar's been around a little while. If it's too hard and you haven't stuck it something like this and get it out, and you really want to soften it up, take a wet paper towel, put it over the top of it, put it in the microwave. Do about 15 seconds, see how it is. Add another 15. Just don't go wide open and hit no dang gone minute with it all at once. Okay, that's about a cup of brown sugar there. So we're gonna dump that on in there too now. All right. I'll get this over here out of the way too. And then we'll get the lid going. There we go. Okay, next we're going to do some vanilla extract. And if you're going to buy vanilla extract, don't buy the imitation, buy the real stuff, even if it's a cheaper line like Walmart. It makes a difference. And on our vanilla, we need 2 teaspoons of vanilla. And what do I do with that? There we go. And like I say, vanilla, well, probably can't have too much of it either, in one sense. 1, 2, and a little extra there. Yeah, you get used to it. You get a good mood on what you can get by with. You bake enough, you do the same recipe over and over. But I'm telling you, if you're not real careful when you're baking, it can cause a problem if you don't keep aware of the recipe anyway. Let's see. So we're going to need 4 eggs because the original recipe calls for 2. Now usually what I do when I got eggs like this, some people may say not to, what have you. But I always usually give them a little poke. I ain't trying to scramble them. I just want to break that yolk a little bit. It makes it a little bit easier. It seems like incorporating in that mixture. Everybody's probably got some gloves around. Works great. So we're going to mix our eggs in there. And it's kind of fun. Heck, if you got kids and they're old enough, put them to work too. Put a glove on them. So just get on in there and smash her around. Make sure you get all that brown sugar broke up good. It may have been in a little chunky if it's been sitting in a container for a while and you hadn't used it. Smells. Okay, and that's what we got there. Like I say, you don't want to dissipate all your shortening, because you're still going to be mixing this yet. So keep your handy spoon around or something, or a spatula. Try to get most of it on off and save all that. After all, you've been working hard on it. And you might want to just keep that spoon aside and just pour your glove inside out. Boom. Now we got the rest of our ingredients that we're going to add to this wet mixture now. So we got flour, salt, and soda. So the next big thing is going to be the flour. And we're looking at 2 cups of flour normally, so we're going to run that up to 4 cups of flour. And what did I do with this one? Ah, here we go. There's 4 cup measuring. Now, I wouldn't really recommend being so lax on the flour. You want to keep that pretty much at 4 cups. Pour your flour, hold your measuring cup over the top of your big mixing bowl. That way, if some of it does decide to go out in the left field, well, it's going to fall more down in there than anywhere else. Of course, some will always escape. Flour, that's the fun part. Flying flour. Alright. That's about 4 cups right there. Let's see, how much salt does this call for? 1.5 teaspoons of salt. So 3 teaspoons to double it up. Now salt, you can go lighter on. Salt enhances flavor. I don't care how many people want to say salt's bad for you. Yeah, if I go taking and drinking down the whole thing of salt, sure. A whole lot of salt on a lot of other things, sure. If you want to cut it back halfway on your salt, you can get by with that. But it ain't like you're making these things every day and eating them, or if you are, you might want to slow down some then. Okay, 1 teaspoon of baking soda. So we're going to double that to 2 teaspoons. And then make sure you level your teaspoons off on your baking soda. You want that pretty accurate. Let's not go overboard with them. Okay, we're going to be mixing this all up together now. And it ain't going to be a whole lot of mixing. And then we'll be adding our chocolate chips on in. Now, you can use chocolate chips. You can add peanut butter chips in there with them. You can add pecans. You can add walnuts. If you like chocolate chips and raisins, whatever floats your boat on that. These are going to be mainly just chocolate chip here for this part of it. So, we are going to spread that soda and salt around a little bit across the top, kind of even it out. Then we got our flour. Now, don't dump it all at once, or you're really going to be putting elbow grease to it. If you ever made milk gravy, then you don't have to put too much in there at once. It's going to stiffen up, and it ain't going to mix good either. So that's about 1/4 of it. Well, looking pretty good so far. Let's go on with the rest. Here, not all at once. Well, we're down to about half. Okay, now it's going to start stiffening up. Your dough kind of get all mixed up, and then sit for a spell. Get to know each other. Say hello to the other ingredients. Let all that even on out. Make sure you dig on way down in there deep. Get all that flour that sits down to the bottom. Well, it's starting to look like a Play-Doh can. See what you end up with there. See? Nice looking good cookie dough mixture. Okay. And you still see a little bit of white there, but it ain't gonna hurt nothing because you still got more mixing to do. So the next thing we gotta do is add the chocolate chips. Now you probably know what I'm gonna say, don't you? There can't be too many chocolate chips in here. Yeah, that's true. I do like the chocolate chips. So it usually calls for about a 12-ounce package for one. So if we're doubling it, that's going to be about 3 cups of chocolate chips. So there's about enough for one recipe. And I got another spatula here. Ah, yeah, one of my good ones. This one you get a little bit more done with than a spoon. Now when you put the chocolate chips in here, you're not stirring them in. You're going to be folding them in. And that's just what it sounds like. Good cookie dough. I really don't think I'm going to die from a little bit of raw egg. Come on around the end. Flip them on over in there. I kind of like to turn that bowl while I'm folding them in there. Get good even mixture. But guess what? That was only one batch worth. So we need to almost fill that cup again. Well, now we've got about 2 batches worth of chocolate chip and a little bit more. Drop the chocolate chips back down in the freezer. And if you're going to keep chips around like that, freeze them. Put them in the freezer. They'll stay good a whole lot longer. Those chips been around a while and they got a nice dark color to them. They're not getting that white tone. Here's where you start adding the elbow grease as you start flipping last. Keep that flipping going. I'm going to have to make me some room here. Now if you don't get all the chips in, that's okay. When you start rolling these up in little balls or spoonfuls, you can always kind of stick it to them extra chips sitting around. Make it look good. Especially if you're giving it to somebody else. You do that, it makes it look fuller and thicker and more chips to it. And if you're feeling generous, you can give the good ones to them and keep the other ones to yourself. And now there's something here. Put that secret ingredient on over that way. Now if you're really into doing some serious baking, go to Sam's, a Costco, restaurant supply store, and get you the nice big heavy duty baking sheets. They're going to make them bake more evenly and consistent. Next off, parchment paper. Must have. Not wax paper, parchment paper. It'll keep your pans clean. And I think it helps them cook evenly too. That way it helps the heat distribute along the pans. So we're just going to run a couple pans here. So probably only put one at a time in there. For these little darlings. Now you can get you one of them little miniature ice cream scoopers. You can use a teaspoon. You can use a tablespoon. You can roll it out on a cookie pie sheet. And then use a rolling pin. And then use cookie cutters. Biscuit cutters. However big you want to make a cookie, you can make a cookie. Well, while I'm in here, I'm going to go ahead and give it a little more squishing. Because I'm getting my hands messy anyway, So usually I just take and grab some, make a ball. It's about the same size as it's going to be coming off that teaspoon, the tablespoon. And just however you want. Lay them on there, keep an inch and a half or so between them. It ain't no exact science. If they run together a little bit, we'll take a butter knife and cut down through there. Any extra crumbs you get to pick and put up in your mouth. Don't go whining about the cookies touching. Well, it didn't take long to heat up now. I ain't even got the cookies rolled down on the sheet. See, if I started that oven up beforehand, I would have been just wasting heat and gas and making it hotter longer than I needed to in here. And what is the point of that? Okay. There we got one sheet. 20 cookies on that sheet. So, let's go ahead and pop this on in here. Yeah, I took my watch off, didn't I? Yeah, take the watch off if you're going to be using your hands. 10:30. Okay, So we got the time at 10:30. Now these cookies and ovens vary. I got a gas oven, so I watch it pretty close. Things tend to cook a little faster in a gas oven than the electric for me. A little bit more even heat than the elements are putting out. 9 to 11 minutes is a recommendation. Now, cookies, you gotta watch them. When the edges are starting to brown, that cookie's gonna keep cooking. Even after you pull it out. That heat's gotta take a little time to dissipate. See, I do know some big words for old country bumpkin. So it's gonna take a little while for that heat to come out of that cookie. So that cookie's gonna keep baking even after you pull it out. Even putting it on a cooling sheet. It's still gonna take a little time. So if you wait until that cookie's all the way brown, well, you're gonna have a harder cookie for one thing, and maybe even overdone. So, let's move this on over here. We'll get out what we can here. I ain't gonna get too extravagant. Now I will post the recipe itself down in the comment description section. So now it's time to pull the cork from the jug. My secret ingredient, of course, good old Kentucky bourbon. Evan Williams is my favorite. This is actually Evan Williams 1783. I just reused some of these smaller bottles for cooking. Now you don't need much in here. And some of you are saying, what? You're putting alcohol in it? I got news for you. You put that vanilla extract in it, that's mostly alcohol. So don't give me no crap on that. So chocolate and bourbon have a very fine history together. And you only need a teaspoon, a couple tablespoons. And you know what you get to do with the rest? So go ahead and take and mix that on in. Now my toes will start getting a little warm. And mix this up good. You don't want to overdo the bourbon and the alcohol, then you're going to end up too wet. You'll be trying to add a little flour into it to take and bring it back out. Right, as you see, we've got some out of the oven now. Invest in some of these cheap cooling racks. The best thing you can do. You can see the color, not real brown. And the nice thing about these cookies, using that shortening, they're going to stay nice and soft. Now that's a dang good cookie. Well, I hope you give them a try. Hope you enjoy them. That's what that shortening will do, make a good soft cookie like that instead of using butter. Well, as usual, peace y'all. Have a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.